Hello. We just had the Grammys on Sunday, and since then I've wanted to do a little look at the stars of the stars. So I've just done the video on Taylor Swift. Today I'd like to look at the chart of Miley Cyrus. So I'll share the screen. We'll look at her chart here. Miley Cyrus, she was born November 23rd, 1992. We do have a birth time for her at 16:19. That's 4:19 p.m. And she was born in Franklin, Tennessee. She was born when Taurus was rising and K2 was in the rising sign. Very interesting to me to see that. She has Saturn in Capricorn, Venus in Sagittarius, Sun and Moon both in Scorpio. We're seeing that as a bit of a trend in these Grammy stars. Scorpio is a strong uh, sign that we're seeing Sun, Moon, or at least Mars in these people's charts. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Mars gives energy, action, passion, courage, a capacity to go out in the world, to be assertive, to go for your goals, to achieve your goals. And we see a number of successful artists, especially in performing arts or media arts. We see a number of well-known movie directors or producers who have strong sun in Scorpio, strong personalities, actors with sun or moon, music producers, sun or moon in Scorpio. We see Scorpio a lot in film and in music. And so Miley's another one with sun and moon in Scorpio. She also has Mercury there, and she has Rahu there. And it's interesting that she's got Rahu close to the sun. So of the planets in Scorpio, Rahu is closest to the sun, and she has Jupiter in Virgo. And that's another theme. I'm going to be talking about Beyonce, who has a lot of planets in Virgo. But what's interesting about Miley Cyrus is that her moon, Mercury, Sun are in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Her Mars is in Cancer, where the planet Mars is considered to be debilitated. I really don't know much about her personality, but Mars in Cancer does seem to fit for her because it can give somebody whose energy is very strong sometimes and very not there other times. So if they're passionate about something, if they're excited about something, they're full energy, they're full on. Think about Cancer as being ruled by the moon, and moon governs the tides. And that's how their energy is. It's like a big wave and then it crashes and they need a big rest. Because Cancer relates to our emotions and emotional narratives. It can make these people emotional. They can have big emotions, they can have big, all of it, anger outbursts, but they can also be excellent at sharing the emotional narrative and really driving them. And of course, that's there in her music, and especially the song that she just won a Grammy for. She says, I can buy my own flowers. It's kind of a Mars, in your face sort of statement if you stop and think about it. So she's got a debilitated Mars ruling her moon, her Mercury, her sun. She's got Taurus rising. Taurus is ruled by Venus. She's got Venus in Sagittarius, which makes one very idealistic in romance, very idealistic in love, right? These old Victorian romance novels would be sort of a Venus in Sagittarius sort of a thing. But Sagittarius is a sign where we find the sun in opera singers, in also film directors. So again, Sagittarius gives a desire to look at the sweeping narrative, the epic tales that sort of help us understand who we are. The planet that rules her rising sign is in love with, passionate about epic tales, music, which really sings to who we are and sings to the love that we hope for, that we seek in this life. Ultimately, Venus in the eighth house is going to be a very transformative planet for her. I think she's had many experiences of love, and love leading her to transformation. And so that's an important thing to just remember. I think it's always helpful when we know our charts to know where our karmas are, where our challenges will be, and what they want us to learn from that. As long as we can keep that in mind, I think we can accept our challenges with more courage, even more nobility. So Moon, Mercury, Sun in the seventh house in Scorpio is also going to make one made to be in relationships, in one-on-one relationships. Whether you're best friends with a sibling as a child, you've got a best friend when you're in middle school, high school, you're more one-on-one oriented than group oriented. And again, that's going to lead to lots of learning from relationships, right? So what I found very interesting about this chart is that her ascendant is in Kritika, in Taurus, in Kritika Nakshatra. Her Ketu, which is the south lunar node, is in Mrigashira. And this is beautiful because that's where the moon is actually exalted. On the other hand, she actually has the moon in Scorpio, where the moon is debilitated. And it's in Vishak, which is a symbol, a nakshatra symbolized by victory. So this is a really interesting drishti, you could almost say, that she's born under the star of Kritika with a close south lunar node. But more importantly, what I wanted to say is the sun was in Anuradha when she was born. Mercury was in Anuradha when she's born. And Anu means following Radha, following the goddess, the Devi of beauty. And she's so beautiful, right? She's so beautiful with those big eyes. That comes from the Jupiter aspect to the rising sign. Big eyes and Radha beauty. Taurus people can often be quite beautiful, quite sensuous. And then with all these planets in Scorpio, that adds to that sort of fiery sensuousness, right, that she's got. So she's in a Mercury Dasha period. Mercury is in Scorpio in the seventh house. So again, time that she might be very drawn to being in one-on-one relationships, committed relationships. And Mercury is the ruler of her second house of throat, of vocalizing, of speaking, and then how we make a living. So, of course, she's making a living through her voice, and that absolutely makes sense. She's also in a Mercury sub-Rahu period. The Rahu is the Antardasha period. Rahu in the seventh house means there may be, certainly the seventh house of marriage is activated, but it may not be clear. It may be unpredictable and uncertain for her. So she's in a good period, but the better period even, Mercury is friendly to Taurus, friendly to Venus. So Mercury is going to bring good things for her. Mercury rules, as I said, the second house. It also rules her fifth house of creative performance, of wealth, of devotion, of bhakti yoga, and she's got a Jupiter there. So in her Mercury-Jupiter period, which is coming next at the end of this year, end of December 2024, that will be sort of all rise for the Miley Cyrus. Very powerful period when her fifth house is very activated because Mercury rules it, Jupiter's in it. Fifth house, again, has to do with creative performance, creativity, bringing her wealth, and also Jupiter bringing her more opportunities, more growth, and more expansion. So that starts end of this year, 2024, and it goes until April of 2027. She'll also be having Jupiter crossing her rising sign of Taurus, starting in May of this year, May 1st. It's a year of Jupiter across her rising sign, from there directly aspecting her moon, her Mercury, her sun, and her Rahu. So Rahu can give a great lift. And of course, when we've got Jupiter in a good aspect to the moon, Mercury, sun, we have more confidence, we have more joy, we have more expansion. She'll have Jupiter aspecting her natal Jupiter. Again, more good things from her creativity. And Jupiter aspecting her Saturn, who is a yoga karaka for her. Anybody with Taurus rising, Saturn rules both the ninth and the 10th houses. When you also have Saturn in one of those two houses, then Saturn is a planet for great growth, great rise. It can make you a king, or it can bring you to the attention, to the favor of the kings. And so even when she ends that Mercury-Jupiter period, in April 2027, my goodness, she's going to have almost 3 years of it. She goes into Mercury Saturn, which will also be a terrific period that goes right up until her K2 period. So I think until December of 2029, she's got, 5 really, really powerful years here. And then she might decide to take a bit of a retreat, take a little time for herself. There's other things we can say about this chart. If she's, she's got Saturn in her 10th house. This is a great example of Saturn in Aquarius. Build it and they will come. Saturn is crossing her 10th house of career. For some people, Saturn, when it crosses the 10th house, can cause delay, a slowdown, stagnation, even separation, and a break from our career, right? We can say the Saturn period is like we're working really hard, but we feel like our wheels are spinning. But with the Taurus rising, Saturn Yoga Karaka, Raj Yoga Karaka, you can see that Saturn has really helped her focus on what she wants, be essential, focus on just the essential, stay the course, nose to the grindstone, and it will come. And sure enough, it did. And it's only going to get better for her for a while. She has Mars in Pushya, which is a beautiful Devik nakshatra. Mrigashira is a Devik nakshatra. Hasta, where her Jupiter is a Devik nakshatra. Her Mercury and Sun are in Anuradha, Devik nakshatras. And her Saturn is in Shravana, Devik nakshatras. What's interesting to me, and you can go to my website to learn more about the nakshatras, which are the star or asterisms within the constellations or star groups. And there's 3 categories. There's Rakshasa, Manushya, and Devik. And so the Devik nakshatras, or little mini stars within the larger star groups, are, when they're Devik, it's really a sign of somebody who's, I feel, a sign of somebody who's come from, you could say, many lifetimes of evolving their Atma. So there's somebody here who's fairly evolved because of it. Jupiter, of course, in the fifth house of Purva Punya as well, means this lifetime she's accruing the merits of many past lifetimes where she's done spiritual work. But I do want to say that Saturn and Mars are in opposition to each other in her chart, and that causes, they're said to be planetary enemies, so that may cause sort of a little bit of a conflict she might see sometimes between wanting to do things now in a rush, let's go, and this part of her that's saying, let's, stay the course, let's plan this out, let's go step by step, steady as she goes, right? Let's not rush into it. Apart from that, again, she's got a chart full of divic stars, and she is definitely a star full of stars. And I want you to remember you too are a star. If you want to learn more about the stars of you, you can go to my website, lauraplum.com, where you can get a free chart to download for yourself. All right. Thank you so much. Many, many blessings. Take care.